Welcome back to our channel. Hope you have relaxing moments listening to stories. We invite you to embrace the moment by liking the video, sharing your reflections in the comments, and subscribing to remain connected with our latest narratives.
It was unexpected how a seemingly ordinary evening with friends could reveal the depths of my understanding of my marriage. It was meant to be an ordinary evening, just another gathering at our home, nothing particularly remarkable. Yet, the events of that evening stirred within me a depth of reflection I hadn't anticipated. I am 46 years old and have shared nearly 2 decades of my life with James in marriage. We've experienced our share of highs and lows, much like any couple, yet I believed we had found a warm and secure connection. Jason, James's closest companion, had always woven himself into the fabric of our lives. He was the kind of friend who had an uncanny ability to appear just when I needed him, providing a comforting presence, sharing laughter that brought us both to tears. He had a way about him that effortlessly put others at comfort. Yet on this special evening, a transformation unfolded. It began with a simple idea. As James proposed we gather for an intimate dinner, just the 3 of us, accompanied by a bottle of wine and delightful dishes. I found myself believing that this night would unfold just like all the ones before it. Yet it was. The moment Jason walked through the door, an undeniable energy filled the air. Disengaged. At first, it eluded me, a subtle whisper just beyond my grasp. Perhaps it was the intensity of his gaze, or the way he held me a moment longer than necessary as he welcomed me with an embrace. I brushed it aside, thinking perhaps it was merely my heightened sensitivity at play. The evening unfolded with a gentle grace. Soft exchanges, the sound of laughter dancing through our intimate living room. I found myself immersed in the warmth of the kitchen, crafting a meal as James and Jason shared their stories, their laughter filling the air. Yet there was an undeniable pull within me, a whisper I couldn't dismiss. As I glided through the kitchen, I felt Jason's eyes on me, a lingering warmth in his gaze that seemed to trace my every movement. At one moment, our gazes intertwined, and there was this instance. It was subtle, a fleeting glimpse of something deeper in his gaze. I wondered if it was just a figment of my imagination, yet it softly echoed in the depths of my thoughts. James and Jason shared a bond that felt as deep and intimate as that of brothers. When Jason arrived after a long day, it was common for them to drift into a more profound conversation, often leaving me to manage dinner in the background. I found it quite agreeable. It provided me with the quiet I needed to reflect. Yet, in that moment of conversation, an unspoken shift lingered in the air, stirring something deep within me. The atmosphere surrounding us felt charged, heavy with a silent connection. I endeavored to immerse myself in the meal before me, yet an undeniable sensation lingered, as if unseen eyes were upon me, stirring something deep within that felt both unfamiliar and intriguing. As the evening unfolded, the aroma of dinner filled the air, drawing us together around the table in a warm embrace of companionship. James seemed to embrace a deeper sense of ease than usual, savoring the warmth of the evening spent with his friend. I felt a deep sense of appreciation for that, especially considering the weight of the past few weeks that had burdened him. Yet, as we shared our meal, I couldn't help but feel the weight of Jason's lingering gazes upon me. His gaze held a depth that was anything but fleeting. Each time our eyes met, I felt a quiet curiosity, a moment of reflection I couldn't quite place. After dessert, we transitioned to the living room, where the 3 of us gathered in front of the warm glow of the fireplace. James was sharing his thoughts on work, but my mind wandered elsewhere. Jason's presence enveloped me, his closeness stirring a mix of emotions within me. Each time he spoke, his voice wrapped around me like a warm embrace. Yet, there was a subtle current of intensity, an unfamiliar sensation that stirred within me. I found myself reluctant to admit it, yet I couldn't overlook the subtle way he leaned in when he addressed me, as if he yearned to bridge the distance between us. It was only after James stepped away to take a phone call that the atmosphere started to change in a profound way. As soon as he stepped out, a subtle shift enveloped Jason, transforming his presence entirely. The relaxed, warm aura he had exuded before faded, giving way to a deeper, more passionate presence. His gaze held a depth that stirred something within me, as if he were uncovering layers I wasn't prepared to reveal. He leaned forward slightly, his tone thoughtful. "You seem different tonight," he said, his voice carrying a quiet sincerity. My heart fluttered with a sudden rush of feeling. I offered a smile, striving to maintain a sense of ease in the moment. "Could you clarify what you mean?" Jason observed me intently, his gaze deepening with an unspoken intensity. "You radiate a vibrant energy, fully engaged in the moment." The words lingered softly in the space that separated us. A warm wave of emotion washed over me, leaving me momentarily speechless. His words, his gaze, everything seemed to guide me toward a path I wasn't ready to explore. James's voice floated in from the hallway, gently pulling me from the reverie that had enveloped me. Jason leaned back, and for a fleeting moment, a sense of familiarity enveloped him once more. Yet, I couldn't dismiss the sensation that a profound transformation was unfolding between us. And that night, as I lay in bed next to James, my mind was consumed by Jason's words, his intense gaze, and the implications they held for the future of our bond. And the bond of my marriage. Unbeknownst to me, that moment with James the beginning of a journey into a realm far more intricate and deeply felt than I could have ever envisioned. As the days unfolded after that haunting evening, I endeavored to tuck away the memories of my encounter with Jason, allowing them to linger just out of reach. Yet, despite my efforts, an undeniable sensation lingered within me, a whisper of change that I could no longer overlook. A subtle tension lingered in the air between us, and each moment shared with Jason was imbued with an unspoken energy, even though we never voiced it. James and I moved through our familiar routine, yet even within the comfort of our home, an unspoken distance began to weave itself between us. We weren't in conflict or anything, it was quite the opposite. He remained the same tender, loving partner he had always been, yet I sensed myself pulling away, and the reason eluded me. Perhaps it was the dawning realization of the imperfections that had always lingered, now magnified in their presence. Jason kept coming around, naturally. He followed his familiar path, pausing after a long day to savor a cold beer and share moments with James. Yet this time, I found myself deeply attuned to each word spoken, each glance shared. The moments when Jason's gaze held on me became impossible to ignore. I observed the way he would smile at me, a knowing expression that felt as though he could peer directly into my innermost thoughts. One evening after dinner, James and Jason found themselves in the living room, reminiscing about cherished moments from their college days. I found myself in the kitchen, tidying up, when Jason's voice reached me, softer than usual, carrying a hint of closeness. "You know," he said, "I've always admired the way you two have remained together through all these years. It can be quite challenging." James chuckled softly. "Indeed, it has been quite the journey. But everything feels right between us, doesn't it?" There was a moment of stillness, and then Jason replied, "I believe so." Yet, there are moments when curiosity stirs within, prompting you to ponder the possibilities that lie beyond. Is there something deeper to existence, to affection? Is there more to experience? I held the dish in my hands, a sudden weight settling upon me. I found myself frozen, unable to utter a word. The words Jason had spoken echoed in my thoughts, a gentle reminder that stirred something deep within me. What was he truly suggesting beneath the surface? Was it merely a fleeting remark, or did it hold a more profound significance? I gently dried my hands on the towel, savoring a deep, calming breath. My heart quickened, and I found myself at a loss for how to absorb the words. It felt like a world apart. Jason had always shared his thoughts on life with a certain openness, yet this moment carried a deeper significance. My heart danced with an unfamiliar rhythm, and I felt a stirring sense of uncertainty as I began to perceive Jason through a different lens. The following days unfolded in an unusual manner. He occupied my thoughts more than I ever anticipated, as I reflected on the delicate nuances in his demeanor that I had previously dismissed as mere innocence. I found myself lost in thought, pondering the true meaning behind his words. What if there existed a deeper essence to life, to love, to the sensations we experience? What if that was a piece of my heart I had yet to discover? Or, even more troubling, what if he had grazed a part of me that I lacked the courage to confront? And then arrived that moment, the one that would take everything to the brink. On a warm Saturday afternoon, James found himself needing to step out for an errand. Jason had left, leaving only the two of us in the soft glow of the evening. We found ourselves in the living room, engaged in a gentle exchange, the kind of effortless dialogue that had always flowed between us. Yet this time, the atmosphere was heavy, as if an unspoken tension was rising, reminiscent of the stillness before a tempest. Jason's voice gently pierced the stillness. I found myself reflecting on that evening, the one we shared together. There was an undeniable shift in the air, wasn't there? I stood still, caught in the moment. His words wrapped around me like a cool breeze, stirring something deep within. Was he referring to the evening that stirred a sense of discomfort within me? The night that lingered in my thoughts, captivating my mind. I took a deep breath, striving to maintain a calm tone. Could you clarify what you mean? Jason leaned in closer, his gaze deepening with intensity, yet his voice held a gentle warmth. There was an undeniable connection, a palpable energy that lingered in the space between us. I sensed that you experienced it as well. My heart raced within me. I understood his words deeply, yet I found myself at a loss for how to reply. The air around us was thick with unspoken tension, as if an electric current pulsed just beneath the surface. I don't understand what you mean, I murmured, my voice soft and hesitant. Jason's lips formed a gentle smile, a subtle expression that seemed to linger just beyond the warmth of his gaze. There's no need for masks between us. Your eyes reveal everything. You've had it on your mind, haven't you? I averted my eyes, a warm blush creeping across my cheeks. I felt a strong urge to refute his words, to assert that he was mistaken, yet deep down, I knew that it consumed my thoughts entirely. Just as I was trying to collect my thoughts, the door slowly opened, and James entered the room. Jason withdrew suddenly, and the atmosphere between us transformed in an instant. James appeared oblivious to the shift, however. He was his usual self, engaging in light conversation about the errand he had completed, blissfully unaware of the charged atmosphere that had built around them. Yet, I couldn't dismiss the sensation that an unspoken shift had occurred between Jason and me, something profound and lasting. The following days unfolded in a haze of fleeting moments. James appeared unaware of the subtle change in the air, moving through his day with a calm demeanor, his relaxed spirit untouched. Yet, I found it difficult to express the same sentiment about my own feelings. Whenever Jason was near, a flutter of excitement quickened my heartbeat. I found myself deeply attuned to his presence, noticing how his gaze seemed to hold on to me, and how his voice softened when he addressed me. It felt as if there was an unspoken depth to our friendship, a connection that lingered just beneath the surface, quietly acknowledged by both of us yet left unexamined. I made an effort to maintain my space. I whispered to myself that it was merely a moment, a transient notion that would soon fade away. Yet, the moments continued to accumulate, the unvoiced tension lingering in the atmosphere, the fleeting glances exchanged, the words suspended in the space between us. I could no longer ignore the truth within me. A shift was unfolding, and I found myself uncertain if I was prepared to embrace it. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, James found himself immersed in his work, the world outside fading away. It was a familiar scenario, him caught up in a late meeting, yet this time, Jason was here, and once more, I found myself alone with him. In the living room, it was just the two of us, and the silence wrapped around us, heavy and palpable. The soft ticking of the clock filled the room, accompanied by the gentle hum of the refrigerator, yet my attention was entirely captured by the warmth of Jason's gaze upon me. He sat across from me on the couch, yet it felt as though he was just a breath away. The intensity of his gaze, the way he seemed to absorb every detail of me, sent a warm shiver across my skin. I shifted in my seat, attempting to maintain a facade of calm, yet within me, a tempest of emotions danced and intertwined. Jason shattered the stillness, his voice a gentle caress yet resolute. I understand that this can be challenging. I sense it as well. Yet, it feels so real, doesn't it? My heart fluttered with a sudden rush of feeling. What is it that you're referring to? He leaned in closer, his eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that stirred something deep within. The transformation that has unfolded. You understand me completely. We share that connection. I felt the urge to dismiss it, to convince myself it was merely a creation of my mind. Yet, the reality was, I found myself at a loss for words. How might I? His eyes held a clarity that spoke of longing, a deep intensity that was impossible to ignore. It reflected the emotions I had been harboring within, emotions I was hesitant to acknowledge. I don't know what you desire from me, I whispered, my voice quivering with uncertainty. Jason's expression became tender, yet a profound intensity lingered in his gaze. I respect your feelings, but I can't ignore that we seem to share a deep understanding. If you ever want to talk about it, I'm here. I took a deep breath, feeling a flutter of emotion rise within me. The intensity of his words enveloped me, leaving me adrift in a sea of uncertainty. Could this truly be unfolding before my eyes? Was I truly engaged in this intimate exchange with my husband's closest companion? I never intended for this to unfold, I murmured, my voice soft and trembling. I understand, Jason responded softly. I felt the same way. Yet, there are moments when life unfolds in unexpected ways. It transcends the boundaries of our intentions. It's about the essence of truth. The room seemed to envelop me, the walls drawing closer as I navigated the whirlwind of emotions swirling within. I felt an overwhelming urge to flee, to immerse myself in a world where this moment didn't exist. Yet, I found myself unable to do so. The connection between us was undeniable, a magnetic force that stirred something deep within me. Each word he uttered sent a thrill through my heart, quickening its rhythm in response to his presence. For what felt like an eternity, we lingered in quietude, the unspoken connection between us electric. Words eluded me, my body felt heavy, and my mind was a swirling haze. The only certainty was the profound gravity of the decision that lay before me. And then, as if the universe had orchestrated it, James entered the room. The door opened with a soft, familiar creak, and in that fleeting moment, the atmosphere transformed entirely. Jason swiftly composed himself, his relaxed facade re-emerging as if the moment had never occurred. James's smile was warm as he greeted Jason, and I found myself mustering a smile in response, though it felt like a delicate effort. Yet within, I sensed a deep struggle, as if I were being pulled under. The conversation flowed around me, yet my mind wandered elsewhere. My thoughts swirled, and my feelings danced in a tempest of intensity. How could I go on acting as if everything remained the same? How could I gaze at Jason and not feel the weight of all we had just experienced together? I realized that maintaining this facade was becoming increasingly difficult. That night, as James and I settled into bed, I found myself lying in the darkness, gazing up at the ceiling. Doubt enveloped me, leaving me adrift in uncertainty. What am I meant to do in this moment? How had everything become so intricate? And above all, what was it that pulled me toward Jason, even as everything I had created with James hung in the balance? Deep down, I felt the weight of a choice pressing upon me, yet clarity eluded my grasp. As I rested there, a gentle thought whispered through my mind. Perhaps I had sensed the truth all along. The days following that night with Jason unfolded in a haze of uncertainty and longing. I attempted to navigate my daily life, maintaining a facade with James, yet the inner turbulence I felt grew increasingly difficult to overlook. Each time I encountered Jason, I sensed that unmistakable draw, a subtle tension that lingered just out of reach. It felt as though an unseen bond intertwined our souls, and no matter my efforts, I found myself unable to escape its gentle grasp. James, with his unwavering spirit, appeared blissfully unaware of the transformation within me. He remained his affectionate, encouraging self, and a part of me felt a twinge of resentment for it. Why was he unable to recognize the turmoil within me? Why was he unable to feel the distance that had grown between us? Yet, I couldn't help but wonder if I was being unjust to him. He had committed no offense. This was my struggle to embrace. One evening, after dinner, when James had retired early, I found myself on the porch with a glass of wine, gazing into the depths of the night. The gentle breeze caressed my skin, yet it failed to soothe the tempest rising within me. I sensed a presence behind me, and as I turned, there stood Jason in the doorway, his form beautifully outlined by the warm glow from within. He remained silent at first, simply observing me with an intensity that stirred something deep within. The silence enveloped us, rich and profound, yet this time, I found comfort in its presence, allowing it to linger without interruption. I found myself at a crossroads, uncertain whether it was the acceptance of my emotions that had settled within me, or simply a weariness that made me surrender to their pull. Jason moved closer and settled beside me in silence, the warmth of his presence enveloping me. I remained still, holding my ground. In that fleeting instant, tranquility enveloped everything. In the stillness, our breaths intertwine, creating a serene rhythm that envelopes us. "You've been keeping your distance," Jason murmured softly, shattering the stillness. I turned my head to gaze at him, taken aback by the depth of his words. "I haven't been steering clear of you," I responded, even though a part of me recognized the truth in my words was not complete. I had been lost in thought. Jason nodded, his eyes cast down, lost in thought. I understand. This may feel intricate, yet you need not navigate it alone. I inhaled slowly, the gravity of his words resting gently upon my heart. I'm feeling a whirlwind of emotions, Jason. I find myself at a loss, unsure of the path ahead. Everything has changed, and I sense a deep yearning for the stability I once had. Jason took a moment before replying. He remained there, attentive, his aura soothing and reassuring. In that moment, I experienced a profound sense of being understood, a warmth that enveloped me after days of silence. I can't control these emotions, I continued, my voice quivering just a bit. What transpired between us holds a special significance in my heart. Yet, I find myself uncertain of its true meaning. I'm uncertain if it makes a difference, or if it was merely an error. Jason's gaze became tender as he extended his hand, softly resting it on mine. I believe it was a deliberate choice. However, I hope you can approach your choices without the weight of guilt or fear influencing you. You are not obligated to me in any way. Take the time you need to explore this for yourself. I gazed at our hands, the gentle warmth of his touch anchoring me in the moment. It was a curious sensation, this conflict of belonging to two realms. On one hand, there was James, the life we had woven together, the warmth and comfort that enveloped us. On the other hand, there was this intense bond with Jason, something primal and fresh, that had stirred me in ways I couldn't articulate. I adore James, I murmured, the sentiment lingering with a bittersweet flavor on my lips. I do, yet I find myself questioning if that is truly sufficient now. Jason offered a gentle, knowing smile. Sometimes, love alone may not suffice. It's about your desires, the essence that completes you. Embracing change and allowing ourselves to evolve is a beautiful journey. Your desires and needs have likely evolved since a decade ago. A tightness gripped my throat, emotions swirling as I fought to hold back the tears. I had kept those thoughts at bay until this moment, the realization that I might have moved beyond certain aspects of my life, even those elements that once wrapped me in comfort. I released a breath that trembled softly in the air. I wish to protect James from any pain. I can't bear the thought of losing him. Jason gently clasped my hand. Then simply refrain. This is not about causing pain to anyone. It's about discovering what truly resonates with your heart. Do not linger in a situation out of fear of what lies ahead. But take your time before diving into something new, even if it stirs a thrill within you. The words linger softly in the atmosphere, and for the first time in what feels like ages, I sensed a gentle release, as if I could finally draw in the breath of life once more. In the midst of all the chaos and doubt, I discovered a profound strength within myself to shape the path ahead. What truly mattered transcended the desires of Jason and James. It was centered around my desires. I believe I need a moment, I murmured softly, my voice unwavering for the first time in days. Jason nodded, his expression warm and inviting. Embrace the moment and savor every second. Always remember that you are worthy of joy. As I sat there, the weight of my choices enveloping me, a peculiar sense of tranquility washed over my being. I found myself lost in uncertainty about what lay ahead, pondering whether I would ever truly grasp the depth of what had unfolded between Jason and me. Yet, there was one truth I held close to my heart. I intended to unravel it in my own time, at a rhythm that felt right for me. and whatever lay ahead, would embrace it with the understanding that I possessed the power to decide.
Thank you for listening, have fun and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to update the latest stories.